Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is LaHue, and thank you for joining me today for this video on Enneagram Type 3s. And this video is all about the mental health of Type 3s and some of the struggles that you may find that you endure and experience in this life. And let me just say I'm really proud of you for being willing to do this kind of work as a Type 3. Sometimes 3s can naturally resist this inner kind of work, and I'm really proud of you for being willing to grow in this way. This information today comes from an Instagram post from a good friend of mine, Tyler Zock, and he's over at the Gospel for Enneagram. So I'm going to put a link in the description below to his Instagram page. Make sure that you go and like and follow and subscribe and all that for Tyler's stuff. I reached out to him and asked him if I could use these Instagram posts for YouTube videos. I thought they were really helpful, and he said, go ahead, go for it. So that's what we're doing today. And just a reminder, in the description below is a link to my website, tomlahue.com, where I do offer Enneagram and relationship coaching. So, you know, the Enneagram really helps us see things about ourselves that maybe we wouldn't see otherwise, and to put into words some of the challenges and struggles that we have. And it's a great resource for spiritual growth and for personal growth and for relationships and all kinds of ways. We can get over the target, you might say, really quickly. As soon as you tell me that you're a Type 3 in a relationship with a Type 5 or with a Type 2, then I already kind of have an idea of what the challenges and struggles might be. I get it, every relationship's unique, but the Enneagram is just a super helpful tool in helping us not only develop compassion for each other, but for ourselves, and to get along with people in a way that is more healthy. So reach out to me. I would love to meet with you and help you on your journey or help you in your relationship. Also, I do offer a lot of different courses about the Enneagram and other related topics. Some of those are on demand and some of those are live on Zoom. I've got a course coming up at the making of this video, coming up live on Zoom. I would love for you to participate in some of those courses and continue to study, learn, and grow in that way. Also on my website, there's a free resource, a free download, and just go to the website and download the free resource there for you. Okay, let's get started on Enneagram Type 3, and I'm going to be looking at the Instagram post as I'm talking to you. So we're just going to break this down together and see how much of it resonates with you, and I think you'll be surprised. All right, so the first thing that is listed on this post for mental health in Type 3s is just dealing with the pressure. And this is the statement that's on this slide for the pressure. The pressure to achieve and perform at a high level can become overwhelming for me. Do you feel that pressure? I'm sure that you probably do. Do you feel that pressure as a Type 3? Remember, I'm a 7, so I don't necessarily feel that same pressure that you feel, and I have compassion for you because that's got to be awful. I always say it's kind of like the Indiana Jones boulder, you know, that's chasing you, and you feel like it's going to flatten you if you don't perform, you don't excel, you don't achieve. And you know, the Enneagram is like that. It shows us what we're running away from. You know, if people met you and they were around you, they would see what you're running toward. They would see you running toward your work, perhaps, or running toward your assignments, running toward your goals, running toward your next challenge, overcoming obstacles, looking toward your next promotion, but they wouldn't necessarily see what you're running away from. And this is where it's not very pleasant. It's not very comfortable to talk about this or to really think about this, but ask yourself, how much of my life has been controlled by what I'm running away from? That fear of failure, or that fear of insignificance, or that fear of not knowing myself or what I really want in life. And so I just keep moving forward, rushing forward, under this intense pressure. And it's the first thing listed on the Instagram post, is just living with that pressure to always achieve and always perform. And you know, as somebody who's not a 3, I can't fully understand what this challenge has got to feel like. I get a little bit of it. I mean, we're humans, right? We all get a little bit of this, but I can't fully understand what this feels like. But I guess I just want to be the first person, to say to you, if no one's ever said this to you before, that you are so much more than your accomplishments. And you can relax. It's okay to relax. In fact, it would probably be very good for you to relax and to recognize that this pressure is something that's happening internally, and it may not at all be anything that is being placed on you, but it's like you're accepting this pressure yourself. And if people around you are putting this pressure on you, then I'm sorry, and maybe you need to have some better boundaries with them and say, look, I'm only human. And that might be a hard thing for you to realize. You're not superhuman. I'm only human. There's only so much I can get done. And you're not a bad person. You're not a failure if you can't accomplish everything that you hope to accomplish. It doesn't make you a failure. It doesn't make you insignificant. I really want you to start to tap into your inner person and ask yourself, what do you really want? What do you really care about in this life? And start from that place rather than just the external of what do I need to do in order to accomplish or to be perceived as this image that I'm regarding as important. So it's okay to take a break. It's okay to prioritize self-care and to just do something you enjoy. And think about it like this: you have a line to 9, and it's kind of like a warning line because it's the number you disintegrate to. And just imagine 9 telling you, if you don't take a break, you might end up broken. So rejuvenation is important for you if you're really going to have long-term success. So turn around and face that pressure and say, the reason I feel this pressure is not because I need to accomplish more, but the reason I feel this pressure is I'm a 3. I'm a 3 feeling the stuff 3s feel, and this pressure isn't always moving me toward something great in my life. Sometimes it's causing me to be like frenetic and to just leap at things that I feel like I need to accomplish, but am I really getting any kind of real significance out of these accomplishments? Because my guess is you accomplish one thing and then just immediately substitute, the next challenge or the next goal that you have in front of you. And this could be exhausting. I mean, this would be exhausting for anybody. This has got to be exhausting for you. And just recognize that like everybody around you sees you doing this. What are you getting out of this? What are you really getting out of this at the end of the day? So maybe you have a bunch of certificates, or maybe you have a bunch of awards, or maybe you have a bunch of promotions, or maybe you have a bunch of medals. But ask yourself, like, what am I really getting out of this? And is it what I really want in life? And if you can't answer what you really want in life, there's a problem, and there's an opportunity for you to do some real work, some real challenge. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. The first one is the pressure. The second one is the fear of failure. The fear of failure. This is a very real fear for type 3s. All of us, I think, understand this fear. It's just not the most significant fear in our lives. Like the fear of being unhappy, for me, would be much greater than the fear of failure. That would be failure. Or the fear of being lazy, or the fear of being ordinary. Might be a big fear or a fear of conflict, or being, separated from the group could be a much greater fear for some of the other types. And I want you to really think about this word failure. What does it mean? What does it mean to you? Who do you define as a failure? What type of person would you call a failure? And let me just challenge you with this thought. If you get to the end of your life and you've accomplished a lot, and you've accomplished a lot of things, you've done all the things, but you've blown it with your family, okay? Or you've blown it with your health, and you've exhausted your health in order to accomplish all these things, and broken all your relationships because they weren't significant enough to you to give time and attention to, and you don't have any hobbies or interests outside of performing and work. You see what I'm doing is, let's just go down that list and say, if you're very successful in this one or two, I just dropped the mouse. If you're very successful in this one or two areas of your life and have forsaken your spiritual life, you've forsaken your community life, your hobbies and interests, your arts and entertainment, you've forsaken your family life, if you've done that, could you really at the end of the day call yourself a success? I mean, do you feel the same pressure in every area or compartment of your life? That's a real challenging thought. The fear of failure and being perceived as unsuccessful constantly weighs on my mind. You know, there's an idea that 2s, 3s, and 4s all kind of operate from this system of I am who they say I am. You know, I need people around me to give me back a certain message about myself. Now this is hard. This is hard for you to hear, I'm sure. Okay? So I'm trying to be, you know, thoughtful in the way I say it, and I just recognize this uncomfortable feeling you're having right now is what real growth feels like. So I know I've got a shelf of John Maxwell books, you know, and they're all great. They're all about set goals and aim high and accomplish more, and that's what you typically think of when you think of growth. And the rest of us really do need to lean into that kind of type 3 way of thinking. But for you, right now, in this moment, growth is not about setting goals and accomplishing more and achieving to your highest potential and I'm the lion, I'm not going to be a sheep, and you know, all of that stuff. Just put all that aside for a moment and recognize those are the impulses of a type 3. Those are the compulsions of a type 3. And the challenge is to push back on those compulsions, not to let them rule your life, not to let them guide every decision you make, but to challenge those impulses and say, am I really a failure if I don't accomplish every, you know, challenge in front of me? What if I forsake everything else for those challenges? Isn't that its own kind of failure? Look, you have significance, whether anybody recognizes it or not, whether anybody gives you the gold sticker or anybody applauds or anybody gives you the feedback or the admiration. That's actually the word for it. Your need, get in touch with how high is that need in your life for admiration. Now, you could change that word. You could call it, you know, affirmation. You could call it appreciation. You could call it validation. But notice how dependent you feel at times on how other people are giving you a response or giving you a message you're looking for. And just realize that that can run your life, and it can run it in a direction that's not necessarily where you want to end up in life. I mean, it's great to have people around you supporting you, encouraging you, you know, and giving you that feedback. But why is it so necessary? Is it? Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Is it so necessary? Go ahead, put it in the comments. Tom, you're crazy. I don't need this affirmation. I don't need other people's applause. I don't need other people. You got 3s all wrong. Maybe I do. Okay. Anyway, so the fear of failure. The fear of failure, of being perceived, you know, and that fear will keep you from attempting things. You know, there's a whole like world of stuff out there that maybe you should try, but will you try it if you're not guaranteed that you're going to succeed? Will you try it if you think you might fail? And who defines failure, and why is it important what they think? Why is that so important what they think? And who is they to you? Who is they? You're doing a lot of things in your life to impress or to build a certain perception in them. Who is them, and why are they so important to you? And what do you really get at the end of the day when those people think you're great? And is it really something worth having? Now, I get it. I'm not a 3, so it's easy for me to say all this kind of stuff and fully not understand. But just take it for a challenge and, you know, think about these things. Okay, so the fear of failure. Next is external validation. There's the word. I just mentioned it a second ago. External validation. That need for external validation. How does that make you feel? Just looking right into the mirror and calling out the crap. How does it make you feel? Does it make you feel awful? Does it make you feel like, oh, I don't like this? Let's move on. You know, and what are you going to move on to? More goal setting? Okay. So here's what it says. Relying on external validation for my self-worth is a tendency that I must be mindful of. Yeah, you need to be mindful of that because, what do you say about you? If you could shut off, if you could silence the need for other people's validation, and one of the ways this will show up in your life, my guess is, you'll give a lot of validation to others. Hey, Tony, you did a great job on that report, man. You knocked it out of the park. Hey, Sam, man, super job on Friday. You did a great, and the 3-wing 2, the charmer, because you're going around giving all this admiration to people. And you know what you're really doing? You're showing us what your expectation is for yourself. You're showing us that this is the way you want to be talked to. You want other people to do this for you. And so you're going around sort of splashing out all of these compliments and all of this praise, which is great. People love this. And people are kind of surprised when you say it because our need for it is not near as strong as your need for this. And it could be very confusing to you why I go around, encouraging everybody and patting everybody on the back and telling them what a great job they do. And nobody does this for me. When it's not reciprocated, how do you feel? And just recognize what you're doing there is I'm not saying stop doing that. I'm just saying, just be aware that sometimes, you may be doing this, not because you really want to give praise to someone else, but because you really desperately want praise for yourself. Because of this need right here, external validation. So you're giving it to people and you're really showing us this is what your expectation is from us. So that's not necessarily all bad. Just ask yourself, what do I do when I don't get that external validation? What do I do? Do I give up? Do I quit? Do I get discouraged? 3 again has that line to 9. What does that mean? It means under stress, you look like a 9. You're present, but you're no longer engaged. You're here, you're at the meetings, but you've lost all drive, you've lost all motivation, you've lost all your energy. Maybe you've reached the top of the organization and there's nowhere higher for you to go, and so you get discouraged and you just give up and quit. I want you to see something, okay? When a type 9 or when a type 1, for example, becomes a manager, their thinking is more like this. How do I make this a great office for all of my employees? How do I make this a great environment for all of our customers? How do I make this into a family where everybody feels valued, everybody feels cared for, everybody feels like they're a part of the team? How do I get these goals accomplished to keep the boss happy? And they're not necessarily thinking like, what do I need to do to get to the next level? They're just thinking, how do I manage this well? I've been given a task and I want to do well and I want to accomplish what I've called out to do. But they're not thinking like, okay, how do I use and leverage these people to get to the next level for myself? And just notice, if you have that drive, how much it consumes and controls the way you think. And ask yourself, which manager would you rather work for? Would you rather work for the one who's there to make this a great environment for all of us, our families and our customers, or the one that is consumed with getting to the next level? And how do I get to the next level? And how do I leverage all of these people in order to get to that next level? Like, okay. Put it in the comments. You don't like it? Okay, put it in the comments. Am I way off? Maybe I am. External validation. So, maybe this is a good point to say, you don't necessarily need external validation. You feel like you need it, but you don't really need it. Look internally. Look for some internal validation. Like, what do you think about you? How do you feel about you? And if you could silence all of the them, just go internal for a minute and try to get in touch with that core essence of who you are. Do you find this difficult to do? Look at right next to you is type 4. That's what 4s are, man. By definition, 4s are internal. What do I think? How do I feel about this? And I've got to be true to myself even if I don't get external validation. So tap into that 4 wing a little bit and go inward and look for some more internal forms of validation. And don't forget there's God always. What does God say about you? You know, what does God's word say about you? You have value whether you recognize it or not, or whether people, you know, recognize your value or not. You were born with value, and it doesn't go away simply because you're 30 or 40 years old. Every person has intrinsic value just because we're in the image of God. All right, I don't mean to get religious on you, but let's move on to the next thing. Neglecting personal relationships. Ow, this just gets harder and harder. You're like, I don't know if I like this Enneagram stuff. Because it really calls out the BS in all of our lives. And it's not easy to do this. It's not comfortable to do this. But I'm here with you. We're going to get through this together, okay? Neglecting personal relationships. You know, that drive to succeed and accomplish and achieve and be motivated and get all the things done and do all the things and be successful all the time and look fantastic. What has that cost you in terms of your relationships? Has that moved you toward the people that love you, or has it moved you away from the people that love you? This is what he says on the statement. Neglecting personal relationships and self-care can occur as I become consumed by my pursuit of success. Okay, I just want you to hear I want you to hear that again, okay? Neglecting personal relationships and self-care can occur as I become consumed by my pursuit of success. Look, it all comes down to, how do you define success? If you have neglected your most important relationships in life, can you call yourself a success? Can you see what I'm saying here? If you have isolated yourself away from all of the people that want to love you and are trying to love you, and you don't have time for them, and you don't initiate time for them, and they all go to the second tier or third tier in your life, then whatever you've accomplished, can you really call yourself a success? I mean, relationships are what most of life boils down to. So what, you get a big house, you get a great job, you get, what is it all for? What is it all for? I mean, you are going to end up lonely, alone. You say, I don't need anybody. Okay, great. Then why do you need everybody's approval? Why do you need everybody's admiration? Why do you need everybody's affirmation? Why do you need everybody's validation? I don't. Okay, wow. Now you're just getting angry. Okay. So you get what I'm saying. There is so much in life that is important. Are you balanced? Are you balanced? Look up a life wheel assessment on just do Google image search. And what it does, it divides your life up into all these pieces like a pie. And just ask yourself, you know, it's like your finances, your work, your self-development, your spiritual life, your community, your family, your friendships, your hobbies and interests. It just divides your life up into these categories. And then ask yourself, am I giving the same amount of attention to all of these areas in my life? Or am I over-focused on 2 or 3 areas and neglecting the rest? And I see this among type 3s more than probably any other type, is over-focused on the areas of your life that provide you with a path of forward and give you the admiration you seek. It could be sports, it could be work, it probably is sports, it probably is work, you know, it probably is your personal finances or your self-development or whatever. But there's whole areas of your life that, my guess, have just been neglected. And look, I didn't write this, okay? I'm just reading it. One of those areas is neglecting personal relationships. Like, Tom, you're making me feel bad. I'm not making you feel anything. I'm just reading these statements and talking about them. If you're feeling something, then listen to that. Listen to that. Listen to that inner voice within you. Okay, next, overloaded schedule. Overloaded schedule. And is it overloaded with all the stuff you need to do to keep your personal relationships intact? Probably not. It's probably overloaded with all the stuff you need to do to get to the next level at your career or your job. I often struggle to identify when my schedule becomes overloaded and fatigue sets in. Again, you're not a superhuman. I don't realize that I'm crashing and burning until it's too late. Because you need to rest. Why can't you rest? What is the voice telling you that you can't rest? Because you'll be what? You'll be insignificant. You'll not be a person of worth. You'll become, lazy and unaccomplished and not competent and not successful. And you'll become a person like what? Like the rest of us? Are you that afraid of becoming like the rest of us? You have to push yourself to not be like those people. What's wrong with those people? Can you love those people as they are? Can you give your time and energy to care and build relationships with those people as they are? How many people do you love right now that are not super successful? You know what you're going to find? A whole lot of people. You're going to love your parents. You're going to love your brothers and sisters. You're going to love your kids. You're going to love your neighbor, your friend at work. And these people are not necessarily super accomplished and super successful, but what? Somehow they matter to you. Isn't that telling you something? That you don't have to be super successful like you think you do in order to be really important and significant to people in your life. You have this ability to influence people right now. People that look up to you and love you and care about you, that want to be close to you. And they're not necessarily wanting to be close to you because of how you perform at work. Sure, some people. But the people that really care about you probably don't really care whether or not you make it to the next level. You do, but I bet the people around you would really just like to have more time with you and love you just the way you are. Do you love you just the way you are? Overloaded schedule. So busy equals important, right? Busy equals I'm in high demand. I have such a busy schedule. How busy is it? Is it so busy that you can't take a rest? Is it so busy that you can't call your family? Is it so busy that you can't take your kids out and just play with them? Is it so busy that you can't just paint or just ride a bike because you enjoy it? I mean, this is what life is all about, right? Your worth is not tied to your external validation. Remember that your well-being is important. It's okay to set boundaries. I'm just reading all kinds of stuff that I think is helpful. All right, let me go back and review these, okay? Because I know I'm getting lost, so I'm sure you are too. Okay, number 1, the pressure. Number 2, the fear of failure. Number 3, the need for external validation. Number 4, neglecting personal relationships. Number 5, overloaded schedule. Number 6, the perfect image. What is this about? That you have to live up to this perfect image? The pressure to maintain the perfect image can lead to high levels of pressure and stress, affecting my mental well-being. Yeah, no kidding. That's got to be really difficult. Okay, so let's talk about this 4-wing again and being authentic to yourself and balancing that with how you're coming across to others. Both of these are very important. How you come across to other people and how other people, perceive you and relate to you is important. But also important is being true and authentic to yourself. And knowing who you are and knowing your core and knowing your identity and expressing that to other people, also very important. So balancing these would seem to be a very healthy move for you as a 3. The perfect image. Who do you need to see you as perfect? Is perfect possible? Let's start there. Is being perfect possible? And is having the perfect exterior and image as important as developing the inner person? See, these are good, challenging questions and good things to think about. The perfect image. And again, that's going to be very exhausting. And how are you going to feel? Well, I mean, you're getting older. How are you going to feel when you get old? You know, when you look in the mirror and your face is old and your hair is old and your skin is old and your belly's old. Well, I'm not going to, okay. All right. Perfect image. Next, disconnected from your true self. This doesn't get easier, does it? I feel lost and distressed when I get disconnected from my true self and don't know who I am anymore. And you could say it this way, that the clothes make the man, or the labels make the man. And at some point you start to lose your true identity, and you've created so many personas, or you've identified so much with the external person, the persona, the salesman, the newscaster, the, you know, the bright white teeth, big head, big smile. You know, you've identified so much with what you need to be in order to accomplish your objectives that you have lost sight of who are you? Who's in there? You know, the illustration I use for threes is the chocolate Easter bunny. Big smile on the outside, holding your carrot, big eyes, you know, inside a brightly colored package, you know, with a saran wrap around it. But then when you get it out and you break the bunny open, the bunny's hollow. And I don't want you to be hollow. I want you to have some real true substance about you. Disconnected from your true self. Second to last, whatever number we're on, 7 or something like that. I've got it all, but I still feel empty. There's the hollowness. We were just talking about it. I've got it all, but I still feel empty on the inside. Here's the statement. I've got it all. I've got the job. I've got the family. I've got the big house. I've got all the toys I could ever dream about. And yet, why do I feel so empty on the inside? Because there's more to you than the externals. There's more to you than all of the symbols of success. And I want you to start getting in touch with that deeper part of yourself. You know, could you take an hour and not focus on accomplishing anything and just sit out under a tree for a minute and just let yourself feel the sunshine, and then just kind of let yourself rest for a minute and notice how you fight back against something as simple as resting? Like, this is not a good use of my time. I could be focused on accomplishing something right now. Just go out there, sit down under a tree, and ask yourself some important questions like, who am I? What do I care about? Do I really love this job? Do I feel passionate about what I do? Has my drivenness really giving me the things that I really want in life? What do I really want in life? Who are the people that are most important to me? How have I shown my care and love and expressed that to them recently? What are some of the things in life I should be grateful for right now? Do I have any connection at all to the spiritual world or to God? And why hasn't that been a priority for me? And when I get to the end of my life, what am I really going to cherish? What really matters to me? Is it okay for me to just have hobbies that I enjoy without pushing myself to accomplish something? Why do I feel the need to move away from the group and prove my worth and value? Could I just be a team member? Could I just be a part of the group? And you know, guys, this is where it gets really exciting, because your line of integration is to type 6. Now, let me just summarize what I think that means for you. Join the team and let yourself be a team member. And then all of those impulses you were feeling for yourself to accomplish and achieve, communicate those to your team members and say, you know what, Jack, I think you could really... You know what, Sam? You really did a great job on this part of the presentation. I think you could really take us to the next level. And then, you see, rather than I have to live under all of this pressure to perform and achieve, you become a conduit for that message, because the rest of us need to be challenged by you. The rest of us need to hear that 3 voice saying, you know what, guys, we've become complacent, and we should not be complacent. We should strive for more. We should strive to be the best we can be. And if we work together, and see what happens when 3s integrate to 6 is they stop having to move away from others and overperform to distinguish themselves from others. And they're able to connect with others, to encourage and challenge others to live the best life possible. It moves you toward people instead of away from them. Okay, I've got it all, but I still feel empty. All right, last one, imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome. After I achieve something, I internally disbelieve that I'm worthy of deserving it. I fear being exposed as a fraud. Okay. Well, you don't have to be flawless to be loved. You don't have to be the best in order to be important to other people. And you don't have to accomplish all the things that you think you have to accomplish in order to be a genuine person that matters. You are already a genuine person that matters. And there are people in your life that know this about you. Or let's just say it this way, there are people in your life that would love to connect with you and be close to you if you could slow down and if you can make them a priority in your life. And I think what you'll find is that way of being successful is in many ways so much richer than the narrow path that you may find yourself on. Okay, so I hope this is helpful to you. I know it's probably not pleasant. It can be very challenging, and I would be interested in your comments, from watching this video, how you feel about it. Do you find yourself, is this 100% accurate for you? Is it 70% accurate? What's left out? What should have been included? Is this stuff that you've known about yourself for a long time and you've been working on it? Or is this like shock and surprise and you're like, want to go somewhere and hide, all of us have our struggles. None of us are perfect. Every type has its challenges, has its obstacles, has its dragon that's chasing us. And every one of us struggles in some ways. And the Enneagram is difficult for all of us in its own way. It calls out our stuff and challenges us to push back on some of these impulses. Because realize these impulses that drive you to all this, they work for you 70% of the time, maybe 80% of the time, but there's some percent of the time when it's not working for you. It's leading you down a very dark path, and it will ruin your life if you're not able to challenge these impulses at times. Maturity is all about knowing when you need to push back on impulses and say, this is not the appropriate time to act this way or think this way, and I need to really stay focused on what is my real goal here in life. I can get so consumed by my goals that I lose sight of my goal in life. All right, I'm here to help you on your journey. Reach out to me. I'd love to talk with you further. I'd love to get to know you and hear your story. Invite me to come talk to your team or do a Enneagram staff training or team development. I'd love to meet your people and challenge them like you're being challenged now. Whatever I can do to help, I'm right here for you. Take care, guys, and as always, be present to life. I'll see you next time.